Good morning. I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much for joining us today for this very exciting interview. I must say, everybody's so excited to hear your story because you've been all over the news lately. You've been making headlines, and people want to know who is Kelsey Heather and what is the story behind this incredible wrestler. So, Kelsey, first of all, thank you so much for joining us. I'm very thrilled to talk to you. And, before we even get into the interview, let's address the elephant in the room. Because 24 years ago, in 1997, Rick Rude made history when he showed up on WWF Raw and WCW Nitro on the same night. And 24 years later, Kelsey Heather makes history by showing up on both WWE Raw as well as AEW Dark on the same night. I mean, tell us something about it. How did this happen? What was your reaction to it? Tell us about it.
So honestly, like you said, it was just a big coincidence. It's no secret. Both shows were pre-filmed before, right. Pre-taped. So obviously when we filmed the Raw show, I knew that was going to air that next Monday. When I was invited to Raw, I wasn't even sure if I was going to have a dark match or when that match would air. I was just excited for the opportunity to be there. So we pre-filmed a match. Again, I wasn't sure when it was going to air until I saw the Twitter graphic that Sunday. And so that's when I found out that both of them would be airing the same night. And I did not expect the big, like you said, news that came up of that. I was very surprised at that, but it was all just a fun coincidence. Yeah,
that's amazing. I mean, you were all over the news, just like I said. I mean, talk about wrestling dirt sheets, or you talk about mainstream media such as Sun UK. You were everywhere. So how did you feel about it? How did your colleagues feel about it? You basically made history that night.
Yeah, honestly, like I said, I was so surprised at all the news and the hoopla that came about all of it. I wasn't sure what to think at first. I was kind of like, oh my God, am I going to get in trouble? Right. But it was just a funny coincidence and fun. And I mean, it's gotten my name out there, so I'm very grateful for that. But yeah, I was not expecting all the news that came out of it.
That is awesome. Do you know if anybody in the WWE or AEW freaked out about it, or their reaction to this whole thing?
No. Everyone I've talked to, they're the same as you. They just say, "Oh my gosh, wow, look at you! You're all over the place now." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, I guess."
Absolutely. And just like you said, you really got your name out there after that night, especially. And your match in AEW as well was so amazing. It was really special. People enjoyed watching you. So did you start getting more offers, more bookings after that night?
Yeah, a little bit for sure. After that night, I got offered to do a ring announcing booking. Yes, which was super fun to do. So yeah, it's definitely gotten my name out there more on the indie scene, which was my goal for this year anyways. I'm extremely new to professional wrestling.
Right.
Yes. So that was my goal for this year, was to really break out in the independent market. And this booking, I knew AEW was a huge stepping stone anyways. If I were to get a dark match, I knew that would kind of excel my career faster. And I was so grateful for that opportunity there, but I had no idea that it would grow my career so quickly, so fast, just with one opportunity.
That's awesome. And we're getting a lot of comments here. People obviously complimenting your beauty. They're saying you're gorgeous. Another comment we have here from Cameron Bell is that they can't wait to see you live on TV, and they hope to see you become women's champion one day. So do you have a championship in mind or a title in mind that you want to capture first in professional wrestling?
No, again, I'm just so new. I just really want the experience. I just want to get out there, work for as many promotions as I can, get as much experience as I can, and just grow my craft so that, when the time comes, I have the experience under my belt and I have the different assets that you need to really excel in this industry. So that's what I'm looking for right now. Baby steps.
That's awesome. And as we can see in the comments, people can't wait to see what would be your next big move. And before we get to any of that, let's go back let's go for a little ride down the memory lane.
Yeah.
I mean, you have had success in everything you've pursued so far. You were a NBA cheerleader with the Orlando Magic. You also served as an NHL cheerleader, which is incredible, with the Tampa Bay Lightning. So how does a successful NHL and NBA cheerleader step inside the squared circle of professional wrestling?
Yes. So starting out a little bit further. So I was a gymnast my entire life. Yep. And when I was a gymnast, I went to school, then straight from school, I went to practice, then I went home. I got home probably about like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. So my brother was a huge wrestling fan. So that's how I became essentially a fan of wrestling as well, in that we would watch together when I would come home from practice. But I never thought it was something that you could train for. I thought it was like a recruitment opportunity type. And it wasn't until I was done cheering professionally, I kind of made the steps. I did gymnastics, and from gymnastics, I cheered in college. Then after college, I cheered professionally. And then after I was done cheering professionally, I wasn't done performing. I really wanted to do more in this entertainment world. And that's kind of when I found wrestling again and really took a deep dive into how do I get to do this? Because wrestling really encompasses everything that I've done with the athleticism, the gymnastics, the promos, the entertainment. It has everything in there for me. And that's what really has drawn me in and why I love it so much. So that's how I became from cheer to wrestling there.
That's awesome. And how does your brother feel about you pursuing wrestling, considering he's a pretty big wrestling fan himself?
Oh, he loves it. He absolutely loves it. He texts me all the time after all my matches. And yeah, so he texts me, tells me about character work and like matches he likes, matches he doesn't like, characters he likes. So it's really fun that we still get to bond in that industry. It kind of brings us back to when we were younger and would talk about all this stuff together too.
That's awesome. And speaking of character work, and as you said, you bring in a lot of aspects of cheerleading into wrestling, such as entertainment itself. How do you feel about the entertaining part of wrestling? Stuff that you do as a character work, or cutting promos, or making entrances. How do you find that part of wrestling?
I love it. That's honestly one of my favorite parts, is the entertainment, the promos, the character work. It's so much fun, and you get to, especially in the independents, you get to test out so many different areas to see what's working with you best and what you're most comfortable with. So I really love it. I know a lot of people are kind of camera shy or scared of promos, but I love it. I think it's so much fun.
Okay, that's awesome. And, we were talking about training earlier. You mentioned training. If you could compare the training to become a cheerleader to the training to become a wrestler, which one do you feel is more challenging?
For me, definitely wrestling. And that's just because with cheer, it's my comfort level. It's something that I've done for 15 plus years. I'm very comfortable in cheer. I coach collegiate cheer now. So all those move sets, the tumbling, the gymnastics, all that is very comfortable with me. Now we go into wrestling with the bumps, the feeds, all of that is very uncomfortable for me. And it's all about getting comfortable with the uncomfortable. I know when I first started training, I was very, I guess in gymnastics, everything's like a perfect 10. It has to look perfect and precise. And when I started doing wrestling, I was taking that into account too. I was trying to make things look so perfect and pretty. And, it came to me, they're like, Kelsey, it's not supposed to look perfect and pretty. Like, and I was like, they're like, it's a fight. I'm like, oh, okay. So I think getting my mindset in that, it doesn't, wrestling is a fight, and it's these different moves that I've never done before. So getting comfortable in the uncomfortable of wrestling, I think that's the challenge for me there.
That's awesome. That's very good and very honest answer. And since you're so fresh in wrestling even now, are you acquainted with all the wrestling technical terms, such as kayfabe, jobbing, working, shoot? Are you acquainted with all of those terms, and how long did it take for you to, get to know about them?
Yeah. So at first, no. At first, I had no idea what people were talking about when they're like, "Oh, it's a shoot." I'm like, I don't know what that means, So now that I've been in the industry, I mean, I've been training for about a year now. So now I know those terminologies, I know what they mean, but it definitely took me a little while to get used to that wrestling terminology for sure.
Absolutely. And, we were talking about character earlier. What do you prefer being in your wrestling character, a heel or a face?
I love heel work.
Okay.
I think it's a lot of fun. You get to be a person, a character that's so different than what I am as a human being myself. So I think that entails me to step into my entertainer, actor background, and I just have I have so much fun being a heel and being that lively, kind of snarky personality. I think it's a fun role to play. But I do like being a babyface too, of course, because I mean, sometimes when you're a babyface, you can do more of the athleticism and gymnastics that I'm used to doing as well. So I like doing both. And since I'm so new right now, I, of course, like to try both, see what's working best with the audience, because it's not just about what I like. It's about what the fans like best, too.
Very well said. And, just by speaking with you, I can tell you're a babyface in real life. So I'm pretty sure being a babyface on camera wouldn't be too hard for you anyways. So we're getting a question here from Gene, and he's asking you about your match against Abaddon last night. I mean, it was a crazy match. And I felt like you had that match pretty much in control at one point. Can you tell us about it? How was the experience wrestling such an intimidating figure?
Yes, that was such a fun match. So I was up against Abaddon, the Living Dead girl. So I knew going in it would be a totally different match, and I knew I had to strike early and had to give it my all early on. So like you said, I came in strong. I thought I had her going, and then I got a little too confident there. She kind of got me in the end. But next time I know. So it was a lot of fun working with her, though.
I mean, even if you lost the match, we have to agree that you're winning in wrestling, because it's just been about a year since you stepped into this world, and you're already making headlines. You're in AEW. I mean, wrestlers like Abaddon. You're in WWE, with Bobby Lashley. I mean, you're all over the place, and you're winning in wrestling. So that's definitely something very incredible. And I'd like to go back to the training part a little bit. I mean, you trained at Sean Spear and Tyler Breeze's Flatback Wrestling School. Yep. So can you tell us? I mean, you've had some great guidance from the very beginning. So how was it training at their school? Did you find it challenging? Did you feel like did you ever have second thoughts? Because when we talk to a lot of wrestlers who are new to the world of wrestling, they have a lot of second thoughts even while training. They're like, nah, this is not for me. So how was it for you?
Yeah, I absolutely love Flatbacks. I mean, I've said it before, going to that training is 100% the best investment I've made in my wrestling career. I've learned so much from them, the connections I've made with them, and just the experience overall is amazing. So I highly recommend Flatbacks Wrestling School to anyone that's looking to get into the industry, because they're going to put you through. It's going to be really hard training, of course, but the outcome of it really sets you up to be a really great wrestler in the industry. They set you up for success in that way. So I think every wrestler goes into it and you're confident, you want to do this, you love the business, then you get into the business and you start second guessing yourself, and you're like, oh shoot, this is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. Or sometimes the promos and the character work, those trip you up. And I think everyone has those second guesses, and it's just about your passion and how far in the business you want to go to overcome those obstacles and overcome those hurdles. Everyone has bad days, everyone has great days. It's just you have to be confident in yourself to push through those bad days and remember why you started in the first place.
That's awesome. And you just mentioned about how cheerleading and wrestling is different, because in wrestling you're taking a lot of bumps. You're putting your body on the line every single day. And when you're training to become a wrestler, one very important thing that you train to be is become a safe wrestler, because it's just as important as being a technical wrestler or a high flyer or a strong athlete itself. So how challenging is it for anybody to become a safe wrestler?
I think as long as the moves are taught properly, it's not necessarily challenging to be a safe wrestler. Because if you have the proper training and you're taught the moves correctly, wrestling can be a very safe sport. When it becomes unsafe is when you don't have the proper training on the get-go, or you try moves that you're not necessarily ready to try. If I've never flipped before in my entire life, I probably wouldn't do a moonsault for the top rope off first try. You know what I mean? So it's about knowing your body, knowing your limits, and knowing that this takes time and giving yourself the time to learn so that you are safe in all the moves that you're doing, because it's not just you on the line, it's the other person as well. Protect yourself.
Absolutely true. And knowing you, Kelsey, how do your fellow cheerleaders back in NHL, or NBA, how do they feel about you, entering this world of professional wrestling, this violent, gruesome world of wrestling? How do they feel about it?
They love it. I love them so much. They're so supportive of it. Yesterday they were texting me, they were adding to their stories, they're posting videos of my matches. So I just love how supportive they're being in this journey. It's something that, when I started, I got the text message and they're like, oh my God, this is so awesome. This is so you. Like, I could see it. You're going to do great. So the support I've had from all of my girlfriends in all of the industries that I've been in is really great. And I love having their support too.
That's awesome. Yeah, you're really made for this. I've spoken to a few fans, about your match yesterday, and what people say is it's not just your in-ring your skills, but also the look on your face and your game on your face. The facial expressions that you have. It's on point. You definitely are made for wrestling. I can tell you that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
You've performed in front of a variety of audience. Let it be ice hockey, football, or wrestling fans. So which sport do you think has the best audience, and who do you have best time performing in front of?
Well, I think it's very different, because as a cheerleader, I was never the main event. I was on the sidelines, and we cheered. We had our performances on halftime, or we had our performances on pregame or whatever. But we were never the main event. But in wrestling, you step out there and you're the main event. All eyes are on you. They're here to see you. So I think that for me is the most fun side, because I really get to tap into that performer aspect. And also it's something different. I thrive in a challenge. And I love being challenged in different things that I do. So I think right now I'm really enjoying the performance side of wrestling, and the wrestling fans have been so nice to me, especially me being so new to the industry. They've been really welcoming, and I've gotten positive feedback on everything. So I'm really appreciative of the wrestling fans.
You deserve all the positive feedback, and you've made such an impact. Nobody has a choice but to be welcoming to Kelsey Heather. So, people here in the comments have been asking this throughout this session. WWE or AEW? I have to ask you that. Since you enjoy working wrestling, which promotion have you enjoyed working for more? If you can answer, I'd love an answer to that.
Well, both promotions I've worked, again, in different aspects. So I think with WWE, I got a lot more of the promo side of things, which was super fun. And it's really helped me in that character building aspect. I've gotten to talk with a lot of the producers and learn how to set up promos and learn about storyline and that aspect, which is 50% of the industry. And then in AEW, on the opposite side, I've gotten more experience on the wrestling side, on building matches, on, putting everything together and things like that. So, I've really enjoyed working for both companies. And both of them have been amazing experiences. So, one company or another, I can't really say. I just really want to wrestle, and I just want to learn and grow in the business as a whole. So yeah, I just love the industry and love the business, and the opportunities that both of them have given to me. I'm just so grateful for.
That's awesome. You get the best of both worlds from both the companies. Who wouldn't want to work for both WWE and AEW, especially on the same night? I'll say it once again. But let's talk about your brother once again.
Yeah.
Who is he a fan of, WWE or AEW?
Well, of course, we grew up being, you know, fans of WWE because obviously, but since I've been a part of AEW for the next few matches, he's been watching AEW as well. So I think he's a fan of both now. We haven't really talked in depth about like his favorite characters right now or anything like that. So he's just enjoying watching me get out there and learn more of my craft.
That's awesome. Now, apart from cheerleading and wrestling, you also serve as the head cheerleading coach at the University of Tampa. I mean, you were super busy. How do you manage your time with so much awesome stuff that you do every day?
Thank you. Yeah, so I live off of the calendar. It's you know, it's on my phone. It's synced to my phone. I have to put everything in my calendar. And I mean, it can get very hectic and very crazy, but I have it down to a science now. So, but that calendar, if it's not on my phone, I would be in trouble for sure.
And how is your experience coaching? I mean, is it any different from, you know, from training as being a cheerleader or cheerleading itself? How is it being coached?
I love coaching. It's a very rewarding experience to coach. It's also a very challenging experience to coach too, because, you know, a lot of athletes, they respond to or they learn in different ways. So not everyone is going to learn skills the way that I learn skills, and it's adapting to them so that they can excel and they can learn skills in their best manner too. So it's definitely a challenging experience and a growing experience there. They did just win nationals this past year, which was really cool. Yeah. So that was a really humbling and cool experience to get to see how excited they were and just how much the program has grown from year one that I started coaching to the girls that they are now. I coach collegiate cheer, so I started with the girls as a freshman. This year, they're my seniors, and just seeing them, how much they've grown as women, and their confidence level has grown, and seeing how they are now leaders to the new freshmen coming in. It's a really, really rewarding experience to be able to witness that and coach them in that way. And I just hope that, if anything, I leave a lasting remark in their lives growing up.
Definitely. I'm pretty sure you do, especially, you know, when they see you on TV and when in some time, maybe in a few months or a few years, they'll see you raising up a championship on TV. They'll be very, very proud of you. Can't wait for that. So we're getting a comment here from Sizzling Me, and they're asking you, what is your fitness routine like? Would you be able to tell us something about it?
Yeah, so I do a lot of different things. Obviously with cheer, I still like to get into the gym and tumble and stunt and do different things like that. I also have a personal trainer that I train with about 3 times a week as well. And then I do just some normal gym training on my own. So whether it be cardio, whether it be weight training, I like to mix it up a lot. I really like HIIT training as well. Interval training really works for me. I think it works well transitioning into the ring as well, having that high endurance training too. So I like to do a bunch of different things so that it doesn't stay mundane and I can really grow, because working out, I think it should be fun. I don't think it should be a chore to have to do. So getting those different things pushed in there really helps it stay fun for me.
And speaking of fun, we know that you're a part of Bobby Lashley's VIP Club, and that looks like a lot of fun. I mean,
it's so much fun.
How was your experience working with Lashley and MVP and all of his ladies? I mean, that looks like a lot of fun to me.
Yes, Lashley and MVP, they are so nice, and we had so much fun on set, off set. They were just the nicest people ever. And our role for television or whatever was just to be like you said, this group of people that were friends and just had a lot of fun cheering on the champion. And that's what they really made the environment both on camera and off camera, which is why I think it was so easy for us to get out there and have a good time, was because that's exactly how it was offset. They would sit, they would talk with us, both Bobby and MVP, they would really help me talk wrestling and promos and give me a lot of good nuggets of advice and information going into the independent scene. So they were just awesome people to work with, and we had so much fun. The girls on set were great. We're great friends to this day. So it was a great experience, and I think that's why it resonated off camera that we had fun together, because it was true.
Absolutely. And I'm pretty sure they feel the same way about you. I mean, it must have been a joy to work with you as well. And, it's just incredible. Your story is so incredible. Just a year and you've accomplished so much. I know that in the future, we're going to be seeing you and Bobby Lashley maybe in a mixed tag team match on WWE television. That's going to happen in the future. And I can't wait for that. But before we go off, I'd just like one more question from you. What are your future 2 long-term and 2 short-term plans when it comes to professional wrestling?
Yes. So in the short term, of course, right now, since I'm so new, I do want to build my name in the independent scene, do as many matches for as many promotions that I can to continue this momentum that we have going. In the long term, of course, everyone's wrestler's dream is to get contracts, sign a contract anywhere. To be able to do this full time and make this your career, that's my long-term goal there. Like, I want to wrestle. I want to be in this industry. And, however way I could do that, that's the goal there.
That's awesome. And I'm pretty sure you're going to be achieving all of those goals in the very near future. And we're getting questions about your bookings in the near future. If you could tell us something about what you have plans in the near future.
In the near future, well, right now there's nothing. I don't think. I might have a few matches coming up next month, and I'll definitely promote them on my social media as they're announced and such. So just keep following the social media, and I'll be sure to promote any matches, appearances as they come up in the next few months.
That's awesome. And be sure to follow Kelsey on Instagram and Twitter. Her username is Kelsey Heather. And you will also get to know about her upcoming matches here on Wrasslinews, as you'll be promoting them along with Kelsey. Kelsey, thank you so much for joining us. It was a pleasure talking to you. And I'm pretty sure that the next time we catch up, you're going to be having a championship around your waist.
Oh, thank you so much. I so appreciate talking with you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. I hope you have a great weekend ahead. Thank you. Take care.
You too. Thank you. Bye.